Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real.
Greetings and salutations, all my friends out there in internet land. I am William Honolulu Jr., and I have the privilege and honor of serving as the host of the Black USA News Morning Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you all. First and foremost, let me say thank you to you for being here. I recognize that you can be anywhere else right now, but you chose to be here and listening with us and joining Black USA News, and we are so incredibly grateful. Want to say a couple of things before we get into. I have a special show today. I want to say a couple of things, get through all my show notes before we get to it. The first and foremost is I want to say a big shout out to Donnie Glover, excuse me, the founder of Be More News, of Black USA News, of the Prince Georgian, a community advocate, and a man who's pulled all of us together. Because of his leadership, we've been able to grow Black USA News to the point where we're doing 7-day-a-week programming, 20 some hours of programming a week. That is so amazing. We get an opportunity to tell the story of the Black community, and it is phenomenal to be able to be a part of the team. One of the other things that Donnie did is that he created a book called I Am Black Wall Street. And while, there's a lot of scholarship on Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, what Donnie's book does is that it exposes us to how they got to Black Wall Street. The relationship between Native Americans, indigenous people, and African Americans, formerly enslaved people, how they worked together, how Native American leaders led Black people to new places and were able to settle in places like Rosewood and Tulsa. And it serves kind of as a roadmap on what we can do again so that we can have the same type of success that we were able to enjoy with Black Wall Street. One of the other organizations that I am so grateful that we get an opportunity to partner with is Breadcoin. Breadcoin is a nonprofit organization that takes your donations and turns them into food that people can consume with dignity. The way it works is that when you donate money to Breadcoin, they take that value and put it against some of the coins that they've already minted. Right now, the value of Breadcoin is about $2.50. So if you're a person who has received Breadcoin, you can go to a participating restaurant, take your bread coins, give it to them, and pay for your meal. What that means is that no one has to know that you may be struggling with homelessness or food insecurity. You get to maintain your dignity while you get a good meal. And the food from the participating vendors is really good, I gotta be honest. But a lot of times in our society, we're so focused on the capitalism that we forget the opportunity to be good people, to make sure that people have what they need so that they can be successful in life. And I'm grateful that we're able to partner with an organization that does that, an organization that focuses on the best interests of people and not the oppression of people, just helping. Speaking of organizations that help, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my organization, the Grinding Gang. We are a for-profit organization that focuses in on business development for nonprofit and for-profit organizations, and also professional development and training. You know what? I might let you all into some of the things that we've been doing recently. But I want to make sure that you all know that we are always down to help. Membership to the Grinding Gang is free. There are free workshops, free videos, free tools that you can go on and use and really make a difference in your business life. So go ahead and make sure you visit us at www.grindinggang.com. All right, so today's show is so exciting for me, so incredibly exciting, because I get an opportunity to introduce you all to my oldest son, William Honolulu III. I call him LJ. So he and I sat down and had a conversation about sports because as he was growing up, athletics was a really big deal in his life. And as he is a man and really anchoring into helping other people develop their athleticism, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to sit down and talk to him about what that really was like and how athletics has informed not just his life up to this point, but also how it informs his life moving forward. All right, I hope you enjoy. Bring William Hunter Blues III to the stage. Just want to say thank you and big shout out to our sponsors, Celebrate Us Workforce Development and the Jordan McNair Foundation. Celebrate Us is run by a really good friend of mine, Lisa Pierce, who has been doing the damn thing for years. Not only does she have an incredible workforce development program that actually has results, not like she tells you what she thinks you can do. She has results of people whose lives she has transformed. She has also worked with student athletes to really help them understand how to effectively market and brand themselves so that they're not exploited along the way. A lot of our student athletes have so much potential, not just in the athletic sense. But what they've been able to do is to develop a brand for themselves, to develop a following, which they can turn around and utilize to better their. But we'll get into that. I'm gonna have her on in the not too distant future to talk about some of the work that she's doing. The Jordan McNair Foundation is run by a really good friend, Martin McNair. Jordan, his son, Jordan passed away from heat exhaustion as a student athlete at the University of Maryland. Now, one of the things I appreciate, not just about the foundation, but also about Martin, is that he didn't just sit with his grief. Because I cannot imagine that he didn't just sit in that. He took what he learned and what he started learning about Jordan's death, and he turned it into a passion, into a cause. He's testified at the federal level and at the local level to ensure that students and coaches and athletic programs understand how to keep the students safe. When he was on the morning show not too long ago. So again, out one. If you all didn't know, we don't hesitate to try to get y'all to do some other stuff. So go to the morning show so you can see Martin's interview. Actually, I think we'll put a link to it in the description here. But when he started sharing about how many students die each year, like each year, there's I think it was like hundreds of students that just die from heat exhaustion around the nation. And we're talking from like T-ball all the way through college. That's a lot. And a lot of it was preventable. Some of it is that the coaches didn't know the signs or that the trainings that they had were inadequate. But he took what he learned and he turned it into a cause. And so big up to him. And so I'm just really excited to have good people helping me do some good things. All right. Sponsors, it up. You know what that means? You know what time it is? Time to bring the man, the myth, the legend, William Miles Hunter Blues III to the stage. Hey!
Hey, Pops, how you doing?
Doing pretty well, doing pretty well. So let me let the people know to begin with. Throughout this interview, I will not be referring to him as William. It feels really awkward for me. I'll be referring to him as LJ. That is his nickname, and so and again, but he's sensitive about it, so y'all don't just roll up on him and be like, hey, "Yo, LJ." No. That's a thing I do. Okay, all right, okay, all right. So, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
My name is William Honeyblue III. Starting to go by Coach Honeyblue as I am now coaching at the school I teach at, coaching both wrestling and football. About to be 26 this month and just out here living life trying to do better for myself.
I appreciate that. Absolutely do. I appreciate that for so many reasons, not just on the general, oh, that's really great. A black man's out here doing the damn thing, but like, oh my God, my son is achieving. That's so awesome. So what he's not telling you guys is that he has done an amazing job in transitioning from high school through college to getting his master's in education and teaching students. He's found his passion and he's ready to go, and he's doing the damn thing. So talk a little bit about your experience as an athlete. I wanted people to understand you're not just coming here talking about what you've seen and what you think, but this is the life you've led.
So I've played like countless sports. It started with basketball, then y'all got me in the track and field, then football, lacrosse, wrestling. Then I did rugby for a year when I got to college. So I've done uh, just a ton of sports, running around, just trying to do something with myself. And um, it's been some really great experiences, some obviously highs and lows with it.
Mhm.
Um, one of your favorite stories is the fact that I learned to always do just enough not to get
Oh,
reprimanded for
okay.
it.
All right. You know what? Do you want to tell that story or do you want me to tell that
Yeah,
story?
I'll tell it. I'll tell it.
Okay.
So what was it? Was it in third grade playing at
Yeah.
third grade doing basketball, and coach would have us run suicides at the practice. Like if you were last, there would be some consequence. So I always ran just fast enough to not be the very last person. I was always second to last. So then at some point they switched those. All right, the last three. So I always ran just fast enough to be the fourth slowest, just fast enough not to get reprimanded for it. But very clearly I could have done better in it, and I just think that's a funny story that third grade me worked out. But it's been an evolution of what it means to be an athlete. It started like when I was young of just don't be the liability, don't be the reason why, don't be the detriment. And at a certain point, I wanted to be good at what I did. That kind of transition with when I became in love with football.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I kind of got that of I want to be good at what I do, there was a shift in how I approached it. And even to this day, I can still do like most of the drills from football, the techniques, the hand movements, the spin moves, and all that. I do it walking down crowded hallways sometimes still. Like it's just
And he's not joking about that. Like that's not an hyperbole. That's actually happening.
yeah. And so it's been a great transition into who I've become as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a process of transitioning the on the field lessons to real life, especially going through graduating high school and getting to college. Because for a while, like I centered myself in my athletics. Like when I couldn't play football my senior year, I was broken, like a legitimately broken person. I picked up wrestling just because I didn't have football. And while I had fun, I didn't invest in it the way I wanted to as I look back on it because I was just so distraught with football.
Right.
And so it was trying to take those lessons and then move them to real life as I realized like I probably can't keep being an athlete. My knees hurt, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts. I can't take the contact. Like just realize the athlete part of me is ending. And I still gotta live a life without it. And that was just a transition that took a lot of time and a decent amount of therapy.
Absolutely, and so that's actually one of the things that the show is designed around. So I appreciate you transitioning into that because there is a lot of those lessons that students get in sports, but they are so caught up in their athletics that I think sometimes it takes a little longer for them to understand how to apply those same things in real life. And I don't like calling it real life because what I realized is that sports is a part of real life. Like what you live is the real life, and we make these imaginary separations between what's real life, what's school, but all of these things are really just us. Like this is all of it.
You just
We
call
don't
it the
stop,
off season,
right? We don't stop being ourselves because we get a new job or we get a new
right?
relationship or we get a new sport. It's like we're still ourselves, and it is taking the lessons we learn in each one of those pieces of ourselves and recognizing that these are transferable skills in all aspects of life. Talk a little bit about and yeah, let me go back to your story. One of the things that as a parent, when I saw that, I was confused. I was like, no, this is little you. Oh, so you just gonna do the bare minimum to get by, and that part of the parent in me was like, that's not right. But then the businessman in me was like, well, wait a minute, you no, that's the hypocrisy, because you literally train people to do this. You make sure they understand there's a range and they get to figure out, and it is about the agency. It is about being able to make that decision about where you want to be and sticking to it. And and it was one of those parenting moments where I was like, sure, you are. I mean, technically, he's not wrong. I mean, that's actually a very efficient use because and when you broke it down to me, that was the other part that really bothered me because you actually had a rationale by it. It wasn't just like I'm being lazy. It's like, well, I'm not going to be the first. I'm not fast enough to be the first, but I know there are consequences to being the last. And these are the drills that start. So if I run so much in the beginning, I don't have anything to put into practice, then I'm doing worse in my performance. And I was like, ah, that damn, that is efficient. That is incredibly efficient.
Just
And it
don't be
was
the liability.
yeah, but it was also one of the things for me is that and you and your brother have done this several times. It is that when I take a step back and you all push me outside of the this is what parenting is supposed to be. This is how children should supposed to act. And I have conversations with you all, and you all are able to express why you did it. It causes me to go think about like, well, why the hell did you think it was necessary anyway? And then realizing that I need to come up with an explanation because I'm sitting here talking to a third grader and I can't explain why you should try harder. Your logic was like, yeah, I know there's a reason. Give me a second. And I had to, and it was one of those things I had to go back and really reflect on why. And once I was able to come up with a reason, I was able to explain it. I still you were done with that though, so you were like, I'll have to learn this one on my own, bro. You, you had a year or two. You finally came up with something, and it's too late. I've already made this part of what I'm doing. So okay. So we talk about the sports, and we talk about how you made that transition and starting to apply the things that you've learned in sports to the rest of your life. What did you learn? Like, what are these things that you're able to pull out of your athletic experience?
Pretty. The biggest one is that what you put into a situation is exactly what you're going to get out of it. When I decided that, when I first started playing sports, it was all about don't be the reason why we lose. Don't be the liability. Don't be the detriment. I practiced like it. I played like it. I was never the reason we lost, but I was never the reason we did great things either. I was just a do your job, clog the machine. And when I finally developed that passion for football and decided, no, I want to be good at this, that's when I started making plays. That's when I started exceeding expectations and making the highlight stuff. I'll never forget, we were playing Northwestern and I ended their game-winning drive with 3 consecutive sacks, and they had to punt it. Like, I did that. That was all me. I whooped that tackles behind because I decided I am better than you, and I'm going to stop this now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, what you put in is exactly what you get out. And what was hard about that lesson is that I had centered so much of myself in being an athlete that I didn't know how to invest in things outside of athletics. So I was always getting negative returns, and it was just sitting me down spiral because, like, I lost football. Now I can't get my life together. Like, what am I going to do? And so while I had the lesson that you get what you get exactly out of a situation that you put in, what I didn't learn was like how to put something in outside of sports. And that was the process that took some time to do, and which the therapy, a lot of therapy to help with that. Um, um, but also another thing, big lesson I learned that I try to instill in like my students in the classroom is like, it's not just about you. Like, it's never just about you. I get, hey, this situation ain't work out for you. You're frustrated, but like that happens. You still got to do your job. You still got to do what you got to do because it's not just about you. You failed a test, you zap out, start flipping out. Well, yeah, now I can't teach the lesson. Now we're falling behind the class. You're more likely to fail the next test because we're not teaching those lessons because you're flipping out about your grades because you weren't up on it on the beforehand. So now you're affecting yourself in the future and everyone in the class presently. So it's just like you got to be mindful, like, even if things don't work out, life goes on and you can't sit on it and wallow because it's just going to be a detriment to everyone around you who's either relying on you to do your job or is just subsequently affected by whether or not you do your job, even if they're not relying on you for it.
I think you're absolutely right in that. And I think that's one of the challenges when you like as you talked about, the when you understand that, when you learn these lessons only in a particular context. So there are a lot of things, like you talk about sports, these things you knew that applied in this space of sports, but they also applied other places. And it wasn't until you lost the sports, lost access to play, especially your passion, that you were kind of forced into understanding that, okay, I don't have, so what am I going to do with that? Talk a little bit about what could be, so remembering who you were then, how that was your passion, literally, and like he's not exaggerating about that being the driver of his life. So like I said, we go back like babies and pacifiers. So I can tell you that the defining characteristic, especially while he was in high school, was him playing football. And so talk about what happened, why you, because I just realized they weren't there for that. So tell them what happened, why you stopped playing football.
So first, like how important football was to me. My goal when I was going to graduate high school was either be a professional athlete, be an NFL scout, or be a coach. Like those were the three options, all related to football. Like that's how central it was to me. And I just forgot your question.
Yeah, tell them about why, because we keep talking about you stopping football. Tell them why.
Oh, so to graduate in Baltimore City when I did, you had to have a certain number of volunteer hours. So I was volunteering at this performance art summer camp, and part of it was they were doing a dance performance in a play. And while helping demonstrate, I tried to demonstrate a move, landed awkwardly, and broke my foot like right before the season, and it just never quite healed right, and I missed my entire senior year of football, and that was like my last chance to like get an offer for college so I could go play college athletics, and I just lost it right there.
What was that like?
Traumatizing. I had so much resentment to mom for so many years because even though the pain was gone, like she would not let me back on the field. Even though I could walk without my boot, I could do the drills. I was going to practice and doing drills with the team for like the when our foot first stopped hurting, and like I was going through fine,
Mm-hmm.
but like I could never get the okay to play because mom would not sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was devastating, and I was just so angry, and I was angry at everyone involved. I was mad at my coaches for no real reason other than like they couldn't magically extend the season so that I
But
could
but
play at
but
some
but
point during
but
my
that,
senior year.
that's the issue though. It is a lot of the stuff that happens is we don't some often get an opportunity to really explore the emotions that we have. And I appreciate you keep talking about therapy, because that is a critical element. That's one of the best parts about therapy, is that you can just explore how angry you are, how in love you are, in a place where kind of doesn't have any consequences in real life. And so that is one of the benefits to it. But absolutely, I mean, and I think we also don't teach that it's okay to be angry about stuff. Like it is okay to be hurt and what to do with that. So yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, so like I was just angry. I was angry at my coaches. I was angry at a few of my teammates. I was mad at mom. I was mad at the school. I was mad at the doctors. I was mad at the medical system in general. Like all this stuff, I was just angry. And without football, I actually had no desire to go to college at all. And honest, I actually didn't know I wanted to go to college until that college tour where I saw Temple and Dulles State's campus.
Oh, wait. Big up to MTM Foundation, James Henderson, A5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because we one of the things we do, no matter what show I'm on, if somebody does something good, because there's so much news about who does
Mhm.
bad things, who fucks things up, blah, blah, blah. But when we have somebody who is doing some good stuff, we absolutely stop everything we're doing to just shout them out. So just wanted to do that. Go ahead. Talk about.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that college tour, I didn't even really want to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did it. I had no real push to go to college other than to play sports. So when I missed out on my senior year of football, it's like I lost out on a chance to get a scholarship. Like even though I wanted to go to college at that point, it was just like what I'm going to do there. Like I'm not going to be able to play football. walking on is like incredibly difficult to walk on and get like consistent time. And I was already undersized for my position. I was playing defensive line at 5'11", 220 pounds. So I was kind of relying on the scholarship to kind of get my foot in the door. So like, no, we are investing in you and your development so that like, even if I need to change positions, like they're paying for me to go to school, they're going to try to ensure that I'm successful at that. Whereas if I'm walking on as a former D lineman trying to change positions due to size, like they have no reason to invest in my development. And so like I was just like, I'm out of football now. Like after senior year, I realized like I was out of football, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I guess I gotta go to college because I have no other idea what else exists out there. And when I was in college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I initially picked computer science major because I just heard there's a lot of money in that field. Coding is so boring though. I was miserable. I was miserable trying to learn to code. And I found teaching by accident because I was just tutoring people in my dorm in math, but like I really had no personality outside of football. Like I had no personality outside of football. It was ridiculous.
Okay. So that gets us up to how you got out of football and what that impact was. Let's talk about let's take a step back and talk a little bit more about kind of what are some of the things that you've experienced as an athlete that kind of shaped your character, shaped your development. Again, I know the passion was a really big deal because like I used to think it was a sitcom trope about the guy who sits around and watches Sports Center all day long until LJ started watching Sports Center all day long.
Still do. I pay for cable just to watch football highlights.
Actually, no, we paid for cable for
No,
years.
I currently pay for cable.
No, I'm saying, but I stopped with the cable a while ago. I stopped watching TV. I had my phone, but like I knew when you came through, there needed to be some Sports Center around, so that's why we kept it. Come on, stop playing. But so sports are still a huge part of what you do, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, finally got into coaching. Yeah, I keep forgetting your questions.
You know what? But actually, let's just go to coaching then. Let's talk about how you got into coaching and what that looks like.
So my school is like a relatively new school. I think this is like year 6 in its existing. We've only had 2 graduating classes. This is our 3rd. So we don't have a lot of things. Like this upcoming year is going to be our first year at having a football team. It's going to be our first year having a wrestling program. So it's like, it was just getting it off the ground. And when I first got there, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a football coach there. I was like, yeah, we don't have a football program. It's going to take some years to get it off the ground. So I was like, yeah, that's a long time to live, whatever. And so I was like, oh, I could try to do wrestling because like even though I only wrestled for a year, Diddy got into wrestling, and I would work with him on his technique and practice and spar with him. So I still had a better understanding of wrestling than I did lacrosse, even though I played lacrosse longer. So I was like, I could try to get a wrestling program started. Nobody wanted to wrestle the first 2 years of me being there. It wasn't until this year that people were like asking me, like, can we start a wrestling program? And so we started one, started getting people signed up and practicing. Working on getting mats so we can stop wrestling on those little mini gym mats. But once we got the interest for it, we just started putting things together to get it set up so that we can give these kids what they want, another avenue to explore themselves, some distractions from whatever's going on in their lives, and just a place for them to develop socially and physically and mentally.
Absolutely. And actually, I think that's one of the biggest things that at times parents and stakeholders or people involved in youth athletics, especially, that they forget. Kind of like how you were. I remember I had a friend, the same way that you were focused on your athletics and that being your pathway to where you wanted to go. I had, she was a coworker, and her son was 6, and he was big for his age, and everything was about football. Like they would miss meetings and stuff like that because he was their hope out of their circumstance, and they saw football being that, and it stopped being a sport. Like I think I stopped
hanging around with them around when he was like 8 or 9, and everything was about football. And one of the things I asked was like, well, what happens if football doesn't work out for him? Like they had not even conceived of that because they were willing to do whatever investment they needed to do to keep to keep him involved and to help him excel in that. So, from that perspective, what can actually, let me take a step back. I just made an assumption. Should parents from a student athlete and now a coach's perspective? You all right, man?
The allergy season.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm on so much Zyrtec, it doesn't even make sense.
I left it at home at my apartment, so like I'm just kind of raw dog in nature right now.
So with that, right? How do you think that that's okay for like parents to have that entire families to have that level of focus to help student athletes to follow their careers?
I mean, it's hard to say because like when it works, like that's the reason it works. But like when it doesn't, you're just kind of setting someone up for failure because it's like sports should be an avenue of self-exploration and development of yourself, not the other way around. You should be gaining something from the game, not giving too much to it. Because even if you make it pro, like sports do stop. So it's like, what do you do after that? And so,
oh wow, there's going to be an afterwards.
Yeah, even if you make it pro, there will be an afterwards. So it's like, what does that afterwards look like if you haven't dedicated yourself to outside of sports? So
unless
like
you're Brady, because he apparently just is never going to stop this.
He gonna die before he retires. That's what I hear. He don't like his kids. He don't really like his wife that much. He's just gonna die before he retires.
How do you retire for like 30 days? Like literally to retire to spend more time with them, and then be like, it's like a month or two. You know what? I can still be ready by next season.
His daughter asked for one too many pony rides. He was like, "No, I ain't with it. Back to the field. I'd rather get a concussion."
but that is a great example. Like he is literally at the top of his game. Like I think he is, if doesn't have it already, he is a GOAT status. And
he is the most accomplished player to ever exist in any sport.
Gotcha. Okay, but again, to say that and then to be like, I'm done. I mean, that's a high watermark. And then to come back.
That's why I lied by accident. It's not in any sport. That's Michael Phelps and Serena Williams. But he's up there.
Oh, touche. But my thing is that this is such a part of him, kind of to what you were talking about. This is such an obsession for him. Like he stopped sports and literally had to come right around. I mean, that's no different than the institutional nature of people who've been in prison. You put them back on the street oh my God, he football recidivated. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're almost done, and because it is my show, so I guess it's done when I say it's done. I guess that's the beauty of this. It's so awesome. So let's delve back into, if as a student athlete, reflecting back now, and as a coach, and being able to look at all of your experience, if you had to go back and talk to me and your mom when we were before you were born, like, hey, look, my brother invented time travel, so I'm here, and let me tell you, these are the things you should do. And again, without any problem or paradoxes, because I know where you're about to go with that. Don't do that. This is no multiversal thing. This is
that's Diddy's conversation. I knew the spirit of the question.
Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Diddy would have been like, well, it depends which string. No. But so, okay, for you, what would you say? Like, what would be good for parents to do? What would have been good for us to do?
Well, first thing would be a selfish one. Can you give me volunteer hours before the summer?
Okay.
That would have been great.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Okay.
That would be the first selfish one, but
office job volunteer work.
yeah, whatever it takes, get those hours. But I think the second thing is just like, make me do stuff like outside of football. Like
Okay.
I got to sit around and hyper focus on everything football. I got down the history. I got the Ravens franchise history, general NFL history, stats, records, analytics, fourth down decisions, coaching changes.
Oh, you know what? Nope.
substitution
I'm
packages.
calling bullshit. Calling bullshit. I'm gonna tell you why I call bullshit. This is why I call bullshit. You didn't want to do anything else. Don't act. Don't
I know.
get
No, I
twisted.
know. I'm not saying
Wait. Because I started buying video games to get you to focus on something else. So don't get it. We put in work. But
Yes.
here's the other. So and again, this is the purely parental defense part. Right? That triggered my parental mind. Oh, retry. Okay, sorry.
Right.
I forgot. Show host. I'm gonna get a show note on this one. Show host. Okay, no, tell us more.
So
You're right though. Okay.
Because like I feel like regardless of like what I did early life, I fell so madly in love with football that regardless of what my other interests were, if I got to football, I would have still fallen for it. So like just earlier on, before I found that passion, like just doing more stuff and doing more productive stuff, because as cool as it was, like being in your offices for like the Radio for Real and all those different ventures, they were cool to experience, but like I ain't really know nothing about it or like what any of it really meant. It was just kind of like spending time with dad doing something fun. There wasn't really any investment on mine and like why I should be interested in this other than I get to hang out with my dad. So like set up your kids to do something, like even if you want to get them in sports, like get them into things outside of those sports for them to just do and explore to see if they like an experience, just so that they even if they don't like latch on to anything before they become obsessed with sports, like they understand the process of exploring different interests and what it looks like to not like something, what it looks like to like it, so they don't hang on for things too long, and they know how to invest in themselves once the afterwards comes.
That makes perfect sense. And I like that, but I think what's more, and this has been exceptionally helpful for me, and hopefully this is why we do the show, so that people can understand. The funny part is that the things that one of the challenges was that our communication, especially now that I understand this, our communication wasn't good. There were a lot of assumptions that we made that you didn't buy into or you didn't understand. So like things like your mother keeping you out of football, and because that was a great decision. I was absolutely and am still on board. I know how much that hurts, but I also know how much not being able to walk ever again. And guess what? We knew you were so into football that we couldn't trust that it didn't actually hurt anymore, or that it hurt, because call it call me bullshit if it right.
Yeah,
you were absolutely untrustworthy. You would have said anything like no, it's good, it's okay, yeah, I could do it. Like you really would have done that. So for us, it was like, okay, for that part, and I think some of it is because of where we all were emotionally at that point. Like, for you, this was the thing, this was part of your trajectory, and us understanding that, but not really understanding how valuable that was to you or how defining it was. And talking kind of about like going to the offices and going Radio for Real and going to court and stuff like that. In my mind, the story, and I've told this story dozens of times, and the way I tell it, and it's the same story you're telling. The way I tell it is that my son went to the courtroom with me, and he will never be intimidated in that room. He gets to see what business negotiations look like. He looks to see da-da-da-da. But I realized that was still the story in my head. I hadn't shared your lines with you. Like, hey, look, no, this is what you're supposed to, this is your part of the script. I was still doing the whole, like, and okay. That's actually, I think, one of the big parts. That's the takeaway from the first show. That as parents and as people and caregivers in student athletes' lives, we have a really big obligation to communicate and understand them, and not just assume that they are blank slates upon which we can paint our dreams. So I think that's a pretty damn good takeaway. Yeah, I think that's good for the first episode. Hell yeah! All right, yeah, I like that. This is good. It's meaningful and stuff. So All right, coach. So tell them about your school. Tell them about, where they can start, where they can find you, how they can keep up and see what's happening in coach's life.
So I am up in Camden, New Jersey, working at Mastery High School of Camden. If you want to get your kids up there to be coached by me, I am the D-line coach on the football team and the head coach on the wrestling team. And also math and science teacher, just a man of many hats.
Wait. I love the fact that you went from I'm the D-line coach, I'm the head coach. Oh yeah, and then I teach math and science or something.
Because this is the sports show.
I get it, but again, I love that. That's what I'm talking about. This is like, oh yeah, I teach math. I teach some calculus.
This sounds like the context of the show, like the math and science is as relevant. So
I love it. This is my show. Why are you being disrespectful? Don't do that.
But we up there. We're just trying to start something great, get these kids set up for the next step in their lives so they can be prepared. Because we want them all to do great, and we want them to be better than we were. And that's all we could really ask for.
Cool in the gang. So, I appreciate you coming through, blessing the mic, sharing about your experience, and I really this was a great conversation. I might have you on other shows just to help me rethink the stories in my head, because I'm sitting there like, wait, what? That happened? No, oh God, that's not what happened. Oh, this is wonderful. This is all therapeutic. Well, you know what? I'm gonna talk to my therapist because he might be like, whoa, you're not ready yet. So we gonna talk about it.
Okay.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, Pops.
Peace. Oh, see, y'all don't know. Apparently not only do I know dope people, I make dope people. Hot damn. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for joining us in the inaugural episode of Black USA News Sports Show. Have a good one.